Hey, hey, welcome to Clutch City Chatter. I'm Jeff. Wow, what a game. I cannot think of a time I've seen a better pitched game than what the Astros had tonight at a time when they needed it so badly. 24 hours after the Phillies completely dominated the Astros, and Christian Javier comes in to pitch game four. And you could just tell, watching Phillies all day doing interviews, um, they thought they really uh, had things rolling. They really, I feel like that they did not think that they were going to have to go back to Houston for a game six. Um, After the way they played yesterday and the way the Astros played, I know the Phillies were 100% confident that they were going to get a win tonight. And Christian Javier was just like a fireman with cold cold water hose that he threw on those hot swinging bats of Philly, and they just couldn't do anything. And so to throw only the second no hitter in World Series history, and I realize it's a combined no hitter, so he doesn't get complete 100% full credit for it. But man, it was his doing. I tell you, uh, I can't think of a more desperate time for a pitcher to face after yesterday's game in which the Astros starter Lance McCullers gave up 5 home runs, and to go into game four where you've got to win this game. And Christian Javier is not a vet. I mean, yeah, okay, maybe this is his third year, I believe, but his first year where he's basically been a full-time starter. You see why he's got the nickname El Reptil. Man, that dude, he knows how to slow things down in his brain and his heart and not get overly excited and just, you know, deal with the moment and enjoy the moment and experience the moment and rule the moment. And that's what he did. It was so fun to see. And then to see Brian Abreu come in the seventh and strike out the side 1, 2, 3. That man, I remember over the last couple of years him pitching. He'd be coming up and down AAA to the Astros, AAA to the Astros, and he would show moments of brilliance, but then he would have a couple of bad hiccups, and you'd be like, okay, well, you can't really trust him in pressure situations yet, and so he kept getting sent back to AAA, and then he opens the season this year on the Astros, but not in any pressure situations. He was one of the last men in the bullpen, basically, at the start of the season, and he just kept showing more and more as the season went on, improving every time out, and he has become almost unhittable. And I'm sure at some point he'll have a bad game because every pitcher does, but Brian Abreu has been dominant this postseason. He's been unhittable. So this postseason, Brian Abreu has pitched in 7 games, covering 8 innings, and only given up 4 hits, and has struck out 13 batters. So he is just absolutely killing it this postseason. And then next up in the 8th inning was Rafael Montero, who's also been having a fantastic postseason. They're at the end of the season, of the regular season, and even the first couple of games of the postseason, he looked a little shaky, I thought. But the last several games, he has been in control. So he's pitched 8 innings this postseason and has 8 strikeouts and has only given up 4 hits and 1 run given up on a home run. And then they handed it off to Ryan Presley in the 9th, who walked 1 batter, got three outs without giving up a hit to complete the no-hitter. So to start the 5th inning, Jose Altuve started the inning with a base hit, and that was followed by Jeremy Pena getting a base hit. So there were runners on first, second with no outs, and they took Aaron Nola out of the game and brought in their closer for the second time in this series that they brought him in the middle innings. And the first time it worked out for them. This time, not so much. So they brought in Alvarado to face Alvarez, and the first pitch he hit Alvarez, which loaded the bases for the Astros. And next up was Alex Bregman. And I don't know about you guys, but the two players that I feel best about coming to the plate with runners in scoring position this postseason is Alex Bregman and Yuli Gurriel. And Alex, he was facing 100-mile-per-hour fastball pitcher, and he fell behind in the count, no balls and 2 strikes rather quickly. Battled back to make it, I think, a 2-ball, 2-strike count, and then Bregman hit a nice line drive into the right field corner, which Alex got a double out of it, and it scored 2 runs. And we scored 3 more runs that inning. But that was the one that kind of broke things open for the Astros. They had gone, I believe it was 15 innings without scoring a run. When that happens, that can carry on for a good while because batters get really tense, trying to do too much. And Alex tries to keep things simple. He went with the pitch. It was on the outside. He went with it to right field. He's got the short, compact swing. It's great swing, especially against high-velocity fastballs. So Alex came through there, and then the Astros tacked on 3 more runs that inning, and that's 4 more than was needed tonight. I'm just tickled to death that the Astros came through tonight. You wouldn't want to go into tomorrow's game with that being an elimination game. So series is tied at 2-2, and we've got JV going tomorrow night. And we all know that JV has struggled mightily in World Series games with a no-win, 6-loss record over his career in World Series games. And of course, the talk of the announcers were saying that he looked like he was just chomping at the bit to get out there, and they expect him to have a good game tomorrow. And I'm cautiously optimistic. I know, of course, that he has the ability to. There just seems to be something about aces, staff aces in the World Series. It seems so often that staff aces struggle. But, I'm cautiously optimistic that he can turn things around. And if we're able to get a win tomorrow, then we head back to Houston with a 3-game to 2 lead, things are looking pretty good. And, they ought to be looking good. I've gotten kind of sick of hearing what a great Cinderella story, how they're just playing great ball, but to be totally bluntly honest and factual, they really should not be in the playoffs. This is the first year that the playoffs have had this format, adding that third wild card team, and that's the reason they made it, and they only made it on their last series of the season. The Phillies had 87 wins. The Astros had 106 wins. If the playoff format had been what it has been all these many years now that they've had wild cards, if they hadn't changed it this year, the Phillies wouldn't have even made the playoffs. We've seen it several times through the years where actually a wild card team wins the World Series, and every time, even it hasn't been against Astros, but every time it's happened, it makes me mad because so often the wild card teams, they have to get on this hot streak to even make the playoffs, and they're fighting tooth and nail, so they're intense. They're really gritting it out, and they make the playoffs, and they get on a roll because of that. But in no way are they one of the better teams in either division ever, or in either league ever. And championship is supposed to determine the best team in baseball. So in the National League, there were 5 teams that had better records than the Phillies. If you include the American League, there were 4 more teams, so there were 9 teams with better records than the Phillies. You can't tell me that the Phillies are the best or the second best team in baseball. So I have a problem with this format of the playoffs, the way they're set up. That's I guess neither here nor there. But tomorrow, Verlander's going against Noah for Syndergaard. I think that the Astros have to have an advantage. At least on paper, they have an advantage going into tomorrow, coming off of a no-hitter, and Justin Verlander pitching against Noah Gard tomorrow. If the Astros win tomorrow, then they only have to get 1 of 2 in Houston. And back in Houston, we'll have Fromber going in Game 6. And more than likely, it would be Christian Javier in Game 7. So, anyways, it's a pretty short video tonight, but, I was so excited after the game, and I wanted to get on here and kind of make a document the night, and say that I am really looking forward to tomorrow's game. I hope you guys are as well. So let's cheer our guys on to victory tomorrow, and bring them back home to Houston, 1 win away from the World Series championship. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and I will talk with you again in the coming days. Take care, and remember, swing for the fences.